Welcome to the MSP Corner podcast. Before we kick off our show, we would like to share what our main objective is at the MSP Corner. Our main goal is to help CEOs build profitable and self-sustainable IT service firms. We are not just providing tools for IT firms, we will be sitting in meetings with you to ensure your IT firm stays on track. The first area we are focused on, strategic sales. IT firms are stuck selling technology or IT support. We will provide you with the blueprint so you position your firm as an added value to your prospects. We will have framework on how to sell value so you influence the prospect into selecting your firm. The second area we see many IT firms struggle in is marketing. 90+% of businesses rely on antiquated marketing methods. The most popular choice, word of mouth. We have proven methods on how to attract the ideal prospect. Our framework will include how to become the online authority and be the business influencer for an industry. The third component to our package, scaling. IT firms walk away from opportunities because they lack the bandwidth or skill set to scale. We have lined up reputable businesses so our members can hire on-demand resources that will allow them to scale their business. The fourth area we will offer help in, selecting the right tools. In order to deliver value, you need the right tech stack. Our platform will offer information on products that are the ideal choice for MSPs. The fifth area we will offer help in is with documentation. Templates are a critical component when building an MSP. We will have contracts, proposals, SOWs, collateral, and much more in the template section. You will have every document you need to start up your managed IT service business. Thank you for tuning in. Let's go to our next podcast. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning into the MSP Corner podcast. I am your host, Fernando Leon, and I'm joined by my co-host, Gregory Moravietz. And today we got a topic I think some of you will enjoy. Maybe some of you will hate it. I know that a lot of you hate it because sales is not fun. So today we're going to discuss the sales process and what we do to influence the buyer. I know that there's a lot of methodologies out there, a lot of opinions, especially a lot of strong opinions on how to sell, how to persuade. We're not in the convincing business, but we can influence, we can persuade. You just have to ask the right questions and guide the client with influential questions. So before we start, let me just go over the agenda. And first on the list is the qualification. What an inbound qualification question would be, and what an outbound. Outbound is more for cold calling, so we're not really going to get too much in depth on that, but I'm going to give you guys a little sneak peek on what we would ask during that call. So then we have the sales process workflow. Well, it's what I call a questionnaire on how to influence the buyer. And then we're going to discuss the proposal, what should be in a proposal, because a proposal is really going to tell a story about you, and you need to have a compelling story. The follow-up. Well, there's three types of follow-ups. There's the email, there's the phone, and then do you know what the last one would be, Greg? I stole it from Seinfeld. The drop-in, right? You have the drop-in, the actual face-to-face. We're going to have, then we're going to conclude, and then we'll do a quick plug on the MSP Corner. All right, let's jump to the first bullet point here on the inbound qualification, because here at Single Point of Contact, right, this is the reason we developed the MSP Corner. We saw that 99% of our
clients, because we only work with IT firms, they all have struggles with selling value, selling in general. But so we have a lot of CEOs of IT firms call in, or they contact us. So we have a process for that qualification, because not everybody qualifies for our services. We don't just take everybody. You got to have a specific, um I guess, a prospect that falls into, they qualify for to do business with you. So what we do is put them through a series of questions. And the first question is, they all, what service are they interested in? So, and this is something you guys can turn around and ask the same question. And because it's pretty general, it's not, it's something you can use yourself. So the next question would be, what are you looking for in a partner? Because they got to give you something that they have a requirement, and they need somebody to fill that gap. So in order for you to determine you're a good fit, you got to make sure, hey, I'm a great fit for this organization. Because not everybody, like I said, not everybody's going to be a fit. And then do you currently have a partner in place, right? If they are looking to speak with you or meet with you or get a proposal or get some type of quote, they're going to compare it to what they have in place now, or they're shopping around for a solution because they've come across an opportunity that, well, they don't want to leave money on the table. It's beyond their expertise. They don't have the bandwidth. They don't know how to implement the MSP model. It could be a number of things. So get that question answered. Do you currently have an IT partner in place? Now, that should be the end of it. I mean, the last question should be, can we schedule a call? Because you don't want to start an in-depth conversation right off the bat, right? You want to be prepared. You want to do some research on the organization, and this gives you some time to do a little research on them. And scheduling a meeting is never a bad idea. So those four questions are on my list on the initial call. Greg, any input on that?
No, that's good.
Right? Nothing you would add or
No,
change or
no.
okay. All right. So this leads me to the next question, or the next topic is the outbound qualification, because some of you love cold calling, or maybe you have a cold caller in place and you want them to generate new business. What I like to do with every every script is keep fluff out. And that means keep niceties out. We don't care how their day is going. We don't we have no interest in how they are doing, because this is a business where you get to you're direct, right? So there's nothing wrong with introducing yourself, because you just don't want to go in with a no introduction, right? They know you've already said, "Hey, Greg, thanks for picking up. This is Fernando Leon from Single Point of Contact. Are you happy with your IT partner?" Right? Very direct question. That now some people might assume things about IT partners. They might not even be the decision maker. So IT partner could be a developer for them. It could be their web developer. It could be a designer, because IT has such a broad definition. People interpret things differently. So, uh, the next question is going to get you right to the answer. What are your pain points, right? What are your challenges? What are your pain points in IT? Well, how about, "Ooh, our guy doesn't write great code," or "our database is in shambles." Oh, you're not talking to the right person. So obviously the next question would be, well, you're not the decision maker. Who is, right? Who's responsible for the network, right? Tech support, servers, cloud, things like that. You want to get to the decision maker, because they're the ones that are going to make a decision quickly, and they're the ones that will give you an honest answer on if they are happy. If they're not, if they are unhappy, they're going to want to talk to you. And again, you're going to want to schedule a meeting. You're going to want to do some research on, oh, it's the CFO. He's out of this firm is has 50 plus people. They're in the let's say you should already know they're in the medical industry or they're attorneys or whatever. So you want to do some research so when you talk next, you're ready to discuss what they're what how you're going to be able to help them. All right. So we're going to assume that everything goes to plan because now we're going to talk about the sales process. And this is where Gregory is going to give us some input because, hey, he's the CEO of a single point of contact. He gets cold calls all the time. He's in sales meetings all the time. People are selling, are pitching him, and they all have a very structured process. And you need to have something in place if you plan to increase your chances of closing the opportunity. And Gregory and I talked about these questions yesterday, and this helped me make some adjustments because, well, we have our process here, but I wanted to create a show that, this can apply to all industries. So I had to make a little adjustments because um, yeah, CEOs of IT firms, you have different questions to ask them, but I wanted to create something here. So, Greg, I think we discussed the first few questions where, during the meeting, the very first question is, "Hey, I understand you're unhappy with your current group. What are the main complaints and challenges?" And so you don't have any problem with those two questions or those two statements, right? I mean, you're asking you're getting right to the root of the problem. What are your complaints? I mean, do you want to say thank you for making time for me today? I appreciate you. We have this Zoom call. Thanks again for making time for me. Blah blah blah. Just get
If someone
again.
does say that to me, I ignore it.
Yeah, it's so I hate the fluff. I hate it. I'm not a fluff guy. So I'm a very direct person. So I'm going to urge everybody else, guys, we're running a business. We're not in the this isn't Burke Williams and you're ready to, get a pedicure or whatever, right? This is business. Get to the point. So immediately ask them, hey, you're meeting with them for a reason. They're probably already frustrated. They're probably angry, and you're there to solve their problems. So what are those problems? What are their complaints? So listen. You don't remember that you want to be a great listener because people want to vent. They want to share what their frustrations are. And people love talking about themselves, right? Oh, I've been managing IT for so long here and I'm just sick and tired of all the problems we're having. And I seem to be, blah, blah, blah. It just goes on and on. So just listen, be patient. I know you guys are all pretty patient people, but take take notes because this is the information that's going to help you influence this buyer. So after they're spilling their guts, the next very important question, this is going to be very key. Is your IT partner charging you by the hour or do they provide you with a fixed fee each month? Right? Because a lot of you guys like to say you're MSPs, but if you're charging an hourly rate, you shouldn't be doing that unless it's a project, unless it's on-site support, right? And if your clients are expecting you to deliver unlimited support at a fixed fee, your contract needs some new language in there that says, "Hey, we don't we redesigning and upgrades or major upgrades and projects are are not included in maintenance and support." Okay. But that's a whole nother conversation and a whole nother webinar or podcast we can talk about later. But this is a very important question. Do they provide you with a fixed fee? Are your IT costs unpredictable, right? And more than likely, they're going to say, yeah, they are more reactive, or they charge us by the hour, et cetera, et cetera. Do you have security or disaster recovery concerns? Now, Gregory might not like that question, but I like to just pile on the complaints. I love to hear there are problems because it increases your chances of winning the opportunity. Because remember, you're there to solve their problems. Now, another question that's going to be critical to you is, does your IT partner, provide you with a guarantee on when they will begin resolving problems? Right? Not many MSPs do that. You do. Don't forget that. You need to provide them with a service level agreement. Yes, a service level agreement is for guaranteeing servers are going to be up 99.9% of the time each year. You monitor them and do all the preventative maintenance and all that. But you also have a guarantee that if somebody opens a ticket for support, you got to let them know, hey, I'm going to start working on your problem within an hour or 2 hours or 20 minutes or whatever. It has to be in your agreement. You have to be different than your competition, and that's what's going to make you stand out during this sales process. And the last question is, does your IT partner meet with you monthly to discuss goals? And more important, listen to your complaints. Because people don't want to suffer silently. Some do. Some are okay suffering silently, but you don't want anyone to ever suffer silently. So you want to hear about these complaints every month. And maybe you meet with them when you first engage, the first 6 months every month, and then maybe you make it quarterly, right? Because everybody's happy. There's no problems, there's no issues. You can make this a quarterly thing now. So I would make it abundantly clear that you would meet with them every month if that's the case. Now, this is where the magic happens. And this is what you need to deliver without any hesitation. You need to deliver with confidence, because now you have noted everything. You have created a database of complaints. You've written them down. Now, you can respond in a number of ways. You can say, well, this would be my response. Thank you for sharing your complaints. My team and I can address your concerns with a proactive approach that will minimize technical issues so production is not interrupted. See how I fit it, how I worked in production, because remember, CEOs and C-level executives, they don't want production to be interrupted because they want their people making money. They want their company to be generating revenue. We also provide you with a predictable monthly fee. No more guesswork on what your IT invoice will be each month. We also implement, because you said you have security concerns, that we also implement a 24/7 SOC, so your firm is always monitored, secure. And since you're in the medical industry, we're going to keep you HIPAA compliant. Plus, we also implement disaster recovery policies, so we get you up and running within hours, not days or weeks. So you can rest assured, have that peace of mind that we are a reliable team that takes care of your firm. Plus, we guarantee response time. If somebody opens a ticket and you can rest assured that we're going to start working on problems within a certain amount of time. And the last point I want to make is, we're going to address your complaints each month, and we're going to discuss your IT goals if you have any. Now, this is going to be the biggest question, the most important question you're going to ask. Based on me solving all of your problems, because I just addressed every problem you have, would you say we're a great fit? Now, he might come back to you and say, "Well, I need to speak to a couple of references." Great, sure, we have great references. Well, I don't know. I don't know what this is going to cost me. Well, can we move forward if we meet your IT budget? Right? Because you want to be you want to create obviously you want to work with people who are reasonable. You can't deliver champagne on a beer budget. So keep that in mind, because if you start reducing rates just to win opportunities, it could be a problem for you later on. But remember, we're talking about value here. Now, you've solved all of their problems, and you're going to say, look, how much does your happiness cost? How much is it going to cost for your happiness? I mean, right now you're miserable. And how much are you spending? Right? Can you tell me what that budget is? Because I'm it will give us a starting point, and we can at least try and meet that budget. So the next
Well,
question would be,
I've
go
heard
ahead.
many different. Now that you're talking money,
Yeah.
I've heard
Yeah.
many different philosophies about this part of the deal.
Okay, go
I've
ahead.
read hundreds of different approaches. Some of them say that you should charge whatever you are going to charge and not worry about meeting up with any budgets, and that
I
your fees are your fees. You've calculated what it takes for you to make money with your particular level of overhead, and you're going to do, you're going to come up with a number that's works for you, and that's the end of it.
I agree. Okay. So
And then there's people who are like me, who are like, we'll take the job, but we should alter the amount of the deliverables to fit the budget of the person who is, if someone comes and goes, I want a spread, of this, I want a spread of home repairs, I want a spread of food, I want a spread of classes, and they're like, I want to pay $1,000. Well, each of those things come, there's come with a cost, and that cost is going to have to be calculated into the price of what you're offering them. You can't give someone $10,000 worth of food for $1, or $20,000 worth of classes for $5,000. You'll lose $15,000. So, but you also will come up against the fact that some people are offering $20,000 worth of classes for $5,000, and you don't understand why.
Sure, sure, sure. Well, in my question, when I say, can we move forward if we meet your IT budget? I don't know if I'm going to meet his IT budget, right? I don't know, because the price is the price. And you're right, because he might say, look, I need you guys to do all of this for under $5,000. Let's just put let's put $100 out there just to keep numbers really, really easy. And for some reason, you've already done you because we're a seasoned MSSP. We already know what we're going to charge for what based on inventory and then the number of employees and the licenses we need to implement. It's easy for us to determine cost. Now we can come in and say, oh shoot, it's going to cost, it's going to be $200, right? His budget is 100, but based on our fees, it's going to be $200. Let's just say it's twice his current budget. Now, he's going to look at that and say, well, you're 2 times more than my current IT group. And I go, well, how much does it cost for your happiness? How much does it cost to keep your organization productive? Because right now you're unhappy and you have a lot of problems. You're losing money. You're losing money because your network is unstable. So you could take that angle,
I
or
don't. I wouldn't. I would
you
never
wouldn't.
take that angle.
Okay.
If I were to sit you down at a dinner and I were to say, I would lay out spinach and cream corn and steak and appetizers and salad and soup in front of you, and you were to
Yeah.
say, how much is all that?
I would go $200 and you go, oh, that's twice as much as what I'm paying. I would just take away the cream corn and the spinach and be go, here's what I can give you for that amount. I wouldn't go, you need to eat the spinach and the cream corn still. It's gonna make you feel better if you eat all this food. I would just wouldn't do it that way. I would do it the opposite way. I would just take away things until I got to the level of where I was still making money. And the person will be all, well, I never really wanted cream corn or spinach anyways. That was just all extra shit I never wanted. And you're trying to convince them that they want it. I'm just saying, take it away and don't even mention it. Just say, I took out the things from the contract that were costing more money. Now we're right around where your budget is. Now, here's where I would take your philosophy is if I had a $60 an hour tech and the other IT firm had a $10 an hour tech, right? And
Yep.
so their tech support is maybe $30 a ticket, mine is $60 a ticket because he can afford to have that guy spend 3 hours, working on that ticket and cost him $30 and he doesn't lose any money. If I have a person working on a $30 ticket for who had making $60 an hour, the moment they hit the 31-minute mark, wow, that I'm losing money.
Yep.
So I would have to somehow justify the fact that my $60 an hour guy is going to destroy their $10 an hour guy. And, that's what I would have to convince somebody of. I would never try to get them to meet the contract price. That's just me.
Well, I hear you, and there's a number of ways you can approach it. And you're right. You're what we would call is reducing the size of the package, right? You're like making it more lean. And there might be some fat we could trim, right? There might be fat on that contract that would allow us to trim it. It just depends, right? Let's just use one of our examples here. We have a client or a prospective client. They're like, hey, we want SIM in place. Hey, okay, here's Splunk. We got Splunk. Well, my God, it's going to cost us twice as much. Well, no, whoa. Okay, if that's too much, we've got Radiant. We got Radiant. It's another just as great product, but it's half the cost of Splunk. Are you okay with the non-brand? Like, not everybody in the world knows Radiant, but we trust Radiant. We've been working with Radiant for the past couple of years. We're happy with Radiant. It does just as great a job as Splunk. It just doesn't have the brand. You got
I agree with
Bloomingdale.
you, but I agree with you, but how often do you ever get to the point where they're starting to negotiate products? Usually you
Well,
tell them a price like $500 a
sure.
head and they
You
just say no.
you can. You're right. When you've developed a relationship with somebody, because this is all about building rapport with somebody, you can come back to them and say, look, I know the budget is tight for this one account. We have another product that would allow us to reduce the cost. Okay, here's a great example. We have an IT partner. We practically meet with every month to discuss a new account, and they're like, "Hey, Fernando, the U.S. rates are just way too much. Can we get India rates? Can we get Philippine rates?" And I'm sure I go, "Look, it's going to be definitely a lot cheaper, but we can make that happen." I mean, that's a product, right? It's a help desk product. These guys are open to discussing making changes to these products as long as it's going to meet their budget. And that's where building rapport is so important with your clients. You got to have that comfortable you got to have that ability to make them feel comfortable that they can come and talk to you about this. And I think that's really important. But this is
Well,
a
that's the hard part.
it
Getting
is.
some
It is.
well, getting someone who you can have a relationship where you say to them, I don't want to lose this deal. And they're going
Yeah.
to be like, well, okay, what does that mean? And you go, well, I don't want you to say no to me on price.
Yeah.
If I don't have the capabilities you need, then yeah, go ahead, say no. If I
Yeah.
don't have the correct products or the right combination of services for you, then say no. But
Yeah.
don't come to me and say, well, your competitor was cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah.
unless they're so cheap, you're going to get what you pay for, and that's unfortunate, you know.
Yeah. Well, here's a lot of companies don't have the same um, um, luxury that we have, where we're pumping out proposals every week, right? And when I have this type of opportunity, who is like, well, you're twice the amount of your competitor. I go, you should go with the competitor. I'll follow up with you in 6 months and see how happy you are, right? Because half the time they're going to be unhappy in 6 months. They're still paying for crap. They're still paying the crappy price. They're going to get the crappy business, the crappy support. At times,
No,
they're just
I
like,
don't
let's
agree with
make.
that at all. I don't agree with that at all. If
Well, you
here's
look.
what I
You can't.
let
You
me
can't.
let
Don't.
me
No. No.
tell
No.
you.
No. Hold on. You're not in sales. You're not in sales.
I'm not.
You
Don't
need
but
to
don't you don't
draw.
need to beat me up about it.
Well, hold on. I just want to make a point that when you're having these conversations, you cannot cheapen yourself. You deliver value, and you love to cheapen the opportunity. I do
I
not.
cheapen myself every day. I cheapen myself. So
Yeah, and I
I'll tell
don't.
you. I'll tell
I
you.
don't believe that.
We're at my garage my garage sale,
Yeah.
and this person picks up an item, and I don't have any prices on any of my items at the garage sale. A lot of people put price tags on everything, so people look at it. It's $10. They put it down. Well, what happens is someone comes over and they pick something up like a vase or whatever. And I say $15. I tell them, I price it all out right there, right for them in their face. And then they take it and they turn and I go $14. And they start putting it down on the table and I go $13 and they still keep putting it down and they go and I go $12 and then they go $11, $10 and then they say, "Okay, $10." And they buy it from me. I don't
Mhm.
lose sales. I won't lose sales. I'll keep lowering the price because I have to make the sale. I got to get rid of that shit. I'm not going to put it back in the garage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm going to take that philosophy along with me because it works. I know it works. I've seen it work 1,000 times where I've said to somebody, "Here's the price." They turn to leave, and you got to stop them. You almost have to be like that TV thing where they go, "Go on, get out of here. You don't." And then you turn around to leave, and they go, "Well, wait a second. You don't do that. You say, 'Get the f out of here,' and they leave, and you go, 'Come back and see me in 6 months.'"
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
No, never, never. I would never come back to you. I'd feel stupid coming back to you and going, yeah, I made a terrible mistake."
Yeah. 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 No, well, you'd be shocked that some people are happy that I followed up with them. Some people are like, I'm glad you stayed in touch with me. I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm not
not
happy.
me. Not
Well,
me.
that's you. That's you. That's you. There are other
I know.
people who this is a business thing. This is not a personal thing. People are
No,
running
I
a
know.
business.
I
And this
hear
is
you, but if I'm a customer too, right? I buy
yeah,
things and sell things too.
yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is not a perfect science, right? I mean, you're just you're doing everything you can to increase the chances. I draw a line in the sand. I draw a line in the sand with my pricing. And if they expect me to deliver US rates, or sorry, India rates from US people, I draw the line. I'm like, I'm not going to do that. Even if I take away the mashed potatoes and gravy, right? It's like, ooh, that won't even get close if I take away the mashed potatoes and gravy. This is not going to work. It's not going to happen. Can't do it. It's impossible, right? Because it's
I
just.
get you, and I would never do that. If you take away the mashed potatoes and the gravy and it's still too high, that you got to take away, cut the steak in half or whatever, and that might not
Yeah,
work.
yeah, yeah.
But
It's every yeah,
I'll tell you this. Um, you can go to them and give them a price. And I've seen this happen, and it happened to us at our old office, right? Our old
yeah,
office came and said, "You guys got to pay rent." And I said, well, how much, rent's increasing. I go, well, how much by? And they go, we're going to double your rent. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a lot, man. I can't afford that. I got to move out.
Yeah.
They could have said, we're going to only increase your rent by 25%. And I probably would have stayed, but they didn't. They just drew a line in the sand and said, these are the rates. This is what we can afford to let you have it for. And then they doubled the rates on everyone else's rent. 3 out of the 4 people in our building set moved out.
Yeah.
One person stayed because they were anchored there by the fact that they have an ISP and they can't move all their fiber lines. And so they were stuck there, but I'm sure they would have left too if that
Yeah.
person had just drew a line in the sand. But let me tell you the little sneaky trick they did. They increased rent on him already. It's been a year. They increased rent on him by 5% of $10,000. So they spanked him for another $5,000 a year by just increasing rent because he was stuck and they knew it, and they just keep piling on the rent. So you could give somebody a cheapened price really low, but then go back and say the next year, we're going to have to adjust your price and mark it up 5 or 10%. And that's going to be your profit margin. That's not so bad. It's not so bad.
Let me ask you this, because you are a network genius. Could we have moved him to, let's say, an office in Fremont where it would have been less expensive for him? He's an ISP, but
No, you got to
is it
understand that there are point to point lines to his site, like from companies to his site.
okay?
There's hundreds of them. So
Who?
he has like it's like trying to move the Comcast cable box that's on the street down the street 5 feet.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. It would be a rebuild of the entire thing, and the money it would cost would be insane. So you just would never do it. You'd only do it if there was like a flood or something, and you lost that equipment anyway. But
Well, you could mirror his environment at another site and create that point to point, and then do the switch over after you've built.
it would just be hours and days and hundreds of rewirings and ordering new circuits and having 2 things up at the same time, and
Yeah, yeah.
bleh, it would be very painful. But it could be
It,
done. I'm sure if they tripled his rent, he would have moved out. But what my point of that story isn't that we could have helped him. It was that you could just get in there and
yeah,
then grow, get some more costs on top.
yeah, yeah,
And I've seen people come in super low and then reveal this is the story with the government. They'll come in and they'll meet the cost of the project and they'll give the worst possible service you could possibly imagine. But they are
mm,
under a contract for maybe 3 years,
yeah,
and
yeah,
they're like a huge corporation. So if you sue them, they're going to lose and they're going to have to pay the contract out. But if you're doing it with a mom and pop shop, they can just say, fuck, F you, I don't want to pay this contract and get out of it. And you can't, what are you going to sue them?
yeah,
They don't have a lawyer, nor can you afford one. So, you know what I mean? If you're going to go with a big corporation and you do a rock bottom price, which you and I have seen hundreds of times, it's because they're giving 5, 10, $15 an hour guys the reins at those places and they're letting
yeah,
them run the show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I, and that's why I like to have these conversations with you, because you bring a different mindset, right? You've and don't I'm not attacking you. I'm just, it's a spirited conversation that I like to have with you. You and I are always battling about rates, and you and I have come to an agreement on what the rates should be. And yeah, we could discount rates, but boy, there's a limit. There's a limit on what discounts we could provide. But we do everything we can to make it work. But can't
Well,
always. And I want these,
this
these guys that are listening. You can't always make it work. It's just there's people out there that are just unreasonable. They're too cheap. They're beyond cheap. And you know those people, Greg. You know them.
I do. I know
Yeah.
them. I'm
Yeah.
probably one of them. I'm probably one of them. but there's also the fact that if you do get a rather large company, which is unusual for MSPs of our size, to get a rather large company like a Cisco or IBM or some manufacturing firm with 25 sites. It's possible, it can happen, but when you do get those kinds of businesses, then your flexibility is just you could turn yourself inside out, because I have seen people price those jobs at what they think the company can afford, right?
Yeah.
They'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, they could pay $500 a person, a
Yeah.
seat. They can
Yeah.
afford it."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes they do. And
Yeah.
when that happens, it's like I just get scared in those situations, because I'm like, what am I charging these guys $500 for? Help desk support? I mean, how long do you think that's going to last? The next time someone changes that position out, they're going to look at that number and go, "What was this? What were these people thinking?"
Yeah. 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 No. I agree. I agree. All right, and one of the most important questions you're going to ask once once they've answered that, yeah, we'll move forward with an IT budget. Say, okay, I'm going to have a proposal to you within 24 hours. Can we meet next week to discuss the proposal? Because you want to get a commitment from them. You want to always get a commitment, and these people keep their commitments. Some of them might flake and miss the meeting because something comes up, but I'd say 90% of the time, C-level executives keep their commitments. So get a date, get a time, say, okay, I'm going to have a proposal to you tomorrow. Can we discuss on, let's say, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right? They'll say, hey, my calendar's open. Let's do it. Boom, you're there. At least you have a commitment and get an answer to say, hey, based on your numbers, this works or it doesn't work. And then you guys can work things out. All right. One of the most important pieces in this whole sales process, this is a key component, is the proposal. Now, what should be included in a proposal? And Greg, this is where we need your feedback, because is it important? Is it critical to making a decision on an organization? Because I need to be told a compelling story. I feel like, hey, if I'm going to hand you the keys to the kingdom, I better know who I'm dealing with and how you do things, et cetera, et cetera. So always include a summary of the firm. You also want to include a very short message. This could be 2, 3 sentence messages about how you are a proactive, valued partner. And that could be easily said. And I have a paragraph if anybody wants one. Vendor qualification. What qualifies you to work with the medical industry, the legal industry? Include vendor qualifications. Include a short couple paragraphs on your summary of staff. Who should they be expecting to work with? Also, a summary on how security, compliance, software, hardware, cloud, and network issues are dealt with. People like to get an understanding of how you deal with problems. You also want to include a section detailing how clients can request support, right? You're just not just telling them what you're going to do. You got to let them know, hey, we have a way to classify urgency, how you can open a request ticket, call in for a ticket, text a ticket, email a ticket, right? Everything spawns a ticket that is documented. So you want to tell them, this just tells them how mature of an organization you are, how professional you are. This is really critical. Now, another critical piece in all this is summary of business processes. And part of that is your service level agreement, right? How do service level agreements work? How your knock and sock operate, implementation methodology. I'm not asking you guys to write a novel. These are short paragraphs that give them an overview of your professionalism, your experience, your expertise. You need to be able to tell a compelling story in your proposal. This is just going to increase your chances of winning the opportunity. Next is the summary of deliverables, right? Don't just say IT support. Here are the deliverables, IT support. I'm going to take care of your servers and computers. That is awful. I see that all the time. Do not do that. If you need help, if you have questions, that's why the MSP Corners has been created, is to help you guys with these type of problems. We've got great documentation for you, and we're there to provide you guys with that type of documentation because you guys need it. You need to protect your organization. You need everything. Every document counts to help you win opportunities. Next is costs. Cost going to going to itemize everything they get. Help desk support, EDR licensing, server support, network support, SIM, MFA by Duo, multi-factor authentication. Oh, you get a phishing portal, right? You just don't put SOC and expect them to be like, okay, I'm going to pay for a SOC. Well, what is that? What do I get in a SOC? Right? So be detailed with your explanation on what they're paying for. Imagine going to the grocery store and at the end of the grocery receipt, it just says $500. And you're just like, what did I pay for? Right? They itemized everything you pay for just so you know exactly what you got. Same thing with your clients. Take care of your prospects. Let them know what they're paying for. And then I have a very short 2-3 sentences on terms and conditions, right? It's like terms are, hey, all my agreements are for 1 year, and very short though. All right. The last couple of bullet points we want to discuss here is the follow-up. You have 3 approaches to consider, and all follow-ups need to have a call to action. They all do. So let's quickly go over 3 of them. The follow-up email. I don't know how many emails I get that are just ridiculous because they're awful. They're so painful to read. But there's going to be lots of opinions on the approach you should take. And there's no silver bullet. But I do know this: don't sound needy. Don't sound desperate. Don't be a stalker, right? And keep it short. And that needs to, you need to get to the point. And here we go. Tom, thank you again for taking time to meet with me. I want to know the next steps. Can I get an agreement to you next week? Right? To the point. You got 2 sentences there. You got a call to action. Tom, are you free on Tuesday at 2 p.m. to go over the proposal I sent last week? Tom, my CEO has authorized a discount. If we can close this by the end of the month, can we schedule a call to discuss the specifics? 2 sentences maximum, guys. That's it. Get to the point. Keep it short and sweet. Call to action. Tom, this is the last email you're going to send. Tom, did you give up on us? Now, this is a psychological move, right? Nobody likes to be considered a quitter, even if you don't know the person, right? Who likes to be known as a quitter? I gave up on you. I quit. No, most of the time, these guys are going to get back to you and say, yeah, hey, Jim, this is Tom. Sorry, I've haven't got back to you, but we're still considering you. We're reviewing other proposals. Give me a couple more weeks. Great. Now, here's my next move. If nobody responds to my emails, it's the call. I make a phone call, and I love to do the phone call. Tom, thanks for taking my call. Do you have a few minutes to discuss the proposal I sent last week? Oh, now's not a good time? Okay. How about next week? Can I get you on my calendar? Boom. Get it done. You gotta ask for the win. No one's gonna hand you anything. Go out and earn it. Tom, hope your day is going well. I know I'm gonna get to the point. What are the next steps? Should I send over an agreement to get our engagement going? Tom, I mean, it's pretty high pressure, right? You're putting them on the spot. You got them on the phone. So Don't be scared to do it. If it's already a no, it's a no, right? It's a not now. I'm going to stay with my current IT partner, or I selected somebody else because for whatever reason, right? But get an answer so you document what that response is. The third one is the drop in. Hey, you're in the area, do a quick drive by. Drop by and say, hey, Tom, was in the area. I'm meeting with another client down the street. Thought I'd come by and say hi. Brought in some donuts. Thought you guys might like a little snack. Whatever. Okay? Do the drop in. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, a quick conclusion. So, a sales process, this is my conclusion. Every IT firm needs to have a sales process. You need to have it in place. There's no question about it. You need to have a professional proposal. This needs to be, it's just a necessity. You want to stand out, you want to look professional, you want to look like you've got your act together, get a professional proposal. CRM, you need a mechanism to keep track of all your interactions, everything, follow-up email, phone call, when you set what their requirements are, what that proposal included, et cetera, et cetera. And don't be afraid of the follow-up. Embrace the no, embrace rejection. It's going to be the fuel to your fire, right? Or fuel for your fire. So it's okay. When you get a lot of no's, when I was single, I was always going out, and boy, I asked so many girls out, and I was always getting rejected. It didn't bother me. I was okay with rejection. And it's the same, and it was the same for me with sales. You got to be okay with the no. You got to be okay with rejection, because it's okay to be rejected. Some people hate it, but it kind of it does drive me. So I just maybe I'm just a different animal, who knows. So to close it out about the MSP Corner, our mission statement is very straightforward. We want to help IT firms build sustainable, well-rounded businesses. Our goal is to solve your guys' current challenges with marketing, selling value, scaling, inundating you with resources, documentation. So you guys have a hub of educational information. You have resources. And I think that when you create a community that comes together to help everybody out, especially the IT businesses, because we're the ones that need the most help, especially with marketing and how to sell value, we're going to have coaches here that will put you in their program. If you suck at sales, then maybe you need a more structured environment, a more structured process, more education. Who knows? I don't know. But we plan on having sales coaches do a webinar so you guys get an idea of what you get during their coaching process. All right, Greg, anything you want to add? Because I'm going to wrap it up.
Well, that's it.
All right. Hey guys, thanks for listening. And don't forget to sign up to be a member on the MSP Corner. Please share our link with a CEO who'll find our information beneficial to their business. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening. And don't forget to sign up to be a member on www.mspcorner.com. Please share our link with a CEO who will find our information beneficial to their business. Have an awesome day.